Thank you, Farouk. I'm actually going to visit my family next week. Not next week, in 2 weeks. I'm going to spend a good amount of time there. But I saw that I started the recording, so I'm just going to share my screen and get started. Not Ireland, Belgium, sir. Howdy, 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 ho. What's up, man? Let's go to just see that everything is fine. Good. Let's go to Lending Tree. Wait, that's the other accent guy. My God, brother. Good. Let's see, guys. Before we do anything, Lending Tree, what is this? Looks like so far this has seen a bullish quarter. So I think most of you are aware that we've seen quite a lot of sell-off there on AI and so on, etc., semiconductors. But some things, I really don't like people thinking in terms of bull or bear markets. If you still think in terms of bull or bear markets, that's retail terminology for something that is way, way bigger than that. So I think this chart looks, on the quarterly time frame, it looks like we've been sold off heavy and now we're here. So I'm just going to put in some levels where I think price could draw back into for Lending Tree. So I'm on the adjusted settings, and an important swing target to aim for if we see bullish continuation is going to be exactly 71.46. Let's put that in there, and let's take this out, and let's take this out. And I'm just going to draw what most people would call kind of like basic, simple quote, support and resistance, right? But really what I'm marking out here is not support and resistance, it's liquidity. Now let's go to the lower time frame and see after hours. Also got to make sure that I'm on after hours price action so that we can get going. Let's see on the 5 minute. I'm simply going to zoom out and I'm going to see if we come to this level as a starter. Let's see, that is 51.94. And otherwise, let me just go for a moment to the regular trading hours chart. That is important because we want to see where the real top has been made during the regular trading hours. So that is right there. Let's go to the 5 minute. Let's go to extended trading hours now, and let me zoom out here a moment. First thing you got to recognize is that this is now trading in a range between 51.94 and 55.87, right? You can kind of see that price is caught within here, and every time we get below the low, we get back inside this range, and so on and so forth. So what I would do is have an alert on 55.87. That means if I see in the coming days or that Lending Tree here breaks and holds above 55.87, this is something that I'm willing to play upside potential to 71.46. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that it's one straight line. It's going to be more something like higher highs, higher lows, and then maybe something like a three-wave correction in there, and then still a rip higher, and then eventually you make it there, right? So don't expect that is one trade without any blips in the radar. It's one way up, but along the way you get these pullbacks, which you can turn bearish in that situation. Or maybe we just simply continue down lower. Now, it's odd to me that I don't see any price action yet unfold. I do think on the right chart, right? Lending Tree. That is what we're looking at. To verify, let's just go to NASDAQ earnings calendar. Very simple. Let's see. So July 25th, Thursday, and we're looking at things that have their earnings after hours. So these are some tickers that we can also take a look at. Let's see, Thursday, July 25th. At least on the earnings, I was subscribed to see 3, but I'm not really seeing 3 here. That is weird. So maybe we just got to adapt to that and then look at some other tickers. But 3 does not seem to be in the list here, so I don't really know why. Why I was under the assumption? Well, obviously here it also says on TradingView that they have their earnings, right? So earnings, let's see, July 25th. That is odd. Anyways, we're always here to look at more than just one chart. And if anything, doesn't really matter. You can just put your alert at 55.87. And once again, what you want to see is that this thing busts a move above 55.87 and then essentially holds there. Welcome also to the new person joining in, Modulus. We'll be expanding a couple of tickers here, hopefully catch some good price action after hours, but I don't really see any huge names up for earnings today. So most of them are, well, unknown names. The thing that has the highest market cap and that reports after earnings seems to be AGJ. So let's put that in. AGJ. Arthur J. Gallagher. Let's take a look at what this is doing. What a chart, right? What a chart on the weekly time frame. That is, and also what I really kind of suggest you take a look at, and this is something that I've explained in my coaching section in Penny Boys as well. But if I'm looking at any figure, right, any equity, I want to know what that is actually doing against the SPY. So what I present to you here is basically the chart AGJ that is trading against SPY. So it's basically telling you if this goes up, that means that AGJ is going up more than SPY if the market is going up, or it means that if the market is going down, AGJ is actually doing better than the overall market, which this in and of itself should be something that is interesting. It's a big weekly candle right now that is breaking above some previous highs. So if, and also just put this into perspective, this is immediately what I like to see if I'm thinking about the stock that I'm potentially adding to my portfolio. It needs to be something, right, that is doing better than SPY. Because otherwise, right, I could simply just buy SPY. Now, I'm not saying we see this, but overall, the trend is up on this AGJ SPY correlation. So let's go back to the stock now with that in mind, that it's interesting. Now, let's go to put on some lines here. I want to put a level on the high of 2 weeks ago, and I want to put a level on the low of last week to basically get started here. Let's go to the 5 minutes. Let's go to extended hours, and let's see if we can get something going here in terms of volatility. I'm also going to put in the volume just to have kind of a grasp of how much or how much is not coming in here. So let me just take this out. So what we need to see, right, for this particular chart is that we get back above 275 and that we hold there, and that is really something that I personally will play, is essentially the long position from down lower at 267.51, which is the low from last week. So very often what you see is that you blip back into a fair value gap like this. So either 267.51 or 265 is where I'm going to look to take a long position if the price comes there. I don't know if the price will come there, can't tell you, but I can tell you that if price does come there, all I'm really doing is I'm waiting until I see that price hits my level, gets back above that level, closes back above that level on a particular chart time frame, such as, for example, the 15-minute, if I wanted to play from a 15-minute confirmation, and then I go long with a stop loss that is made below the low that is made below this low. And then I'm basically targeting back up for an uptrend, or I'm getting out for a loss, and I'm looking at my level lower down to do it again. And so if price busts through this level, does not close back above this level, my system prevents me from getting in. And then I'm basically just looking at the level lower down, which you need to be aware and have in your journal, right? These levels where you have a lot of confidence that if price comes there, you can find a good trade setup based on this. So this is something that I'll just put on my watch list. Actually, we're not here really for the after hours earnings anyways. If that happens and if we see great volatility, that's great. But if not, this is a great time for you guys to build upon your own watch list. So if you have the question like, how do I research? Very simple, right? You basically look at what has earnings from there. So Looks like it's just you and me, Stussy. Are you up for looking at some other tickers after hours here and noting down some levels to play from? Um, Otherwise, this is going to be it's going to be a short one. But we can. I'm definitely here if you want to look, for example, as at NSC or DLR. That's all good for me. Let's see. And Lending Tree is now seems to get moving. So actually, that is what we'll just focus on these two for now, right? So Lending Tree apparently does have their earnings. Otherwise, we would probably not see a spike in volatility like that. But like always, let's just observe and let's learn, because what do we see? We just follow along with what price is doing, right? So if anything, we need 4 more minutes for this candlestick to close. So before anything, but it's already a good start to get this scenario going, right? And what's up, Nikki? Thank you for joining up. Really appreciate that. So that's ideal. Perfect. So Arthur J. Gallagher, highly recommend you people put these levels on your chart. Those are interesting levels to play from. I'm going to play from those levels. And Lending Tree, I'm actually also interested. So when the market is, quote, coming down, so when you see SPY coming down, and maybe that's because NVIDIA and so on are pulling the market down a bit, it does not mean that you're in a bear market. There's plenty of tickers that have upside potential that have simply nothing to do with NVIDIA. So while I like the idea of keeping up with, for example, NVIDIA, it can be the only thing you do. And like I was saying, just a very good way to do your research on stocks is to exactly, right, follow along with the earnings calendar on nasdaq.com, and you basically just see what is having their earnings. Now, once again, it's weird that this is not showing a Lending Tree on here, but at least we're getting some other tickers from this. So Thursday, July 25th, that is in fact the right day. Let's go back here. Also want to have kind of an idea of the amount of volume that is coming in. Not that it is that decisive, but still, if I'm seeing a break above this level, I ideally want to see that be on a good amount of volume. So if I just hover over this, it seems like the amount of shares traded here in this candlestick is just 478, and that is sorry, it's just 124, and that is way less than the average. So the average is 478 here. That is not convincing at all. So kind of to filter out whether this is a legitimate break, you would want to see a good amount of volume pop in. I'll just put this to default settings. Let me see, reset settings, just like this. See how quickly this candlestick now changes from, it was just trading above, it was just trading at 57 bucks, right? Just a second ago. So if you would have hit, for example, market buy, you buy at 57, a few seconds later, we're trading back at 55.2. So that's not nice. Just looking at the amount of volume that is backing up this candlestick can be helpful, right? So seeing that this candlestick, that only a couple of shares are being traded here, that is not decisive for a good break above that level. Let's see also here on the chart to the right what the volume is saying. We'll put it to the default settings here. Let's see. Also very, very little shares traded, right? If we just hover over the volume, it says 38. So 38 shares times $272. $272 a share is almost nothing in comparison to the volume traded on the previous candlestick. Now, sometimes it's possible that this needs some time to update, but still, those are all moves on virtually no volume. But that doesn't really matter, because if price wants to teleport down on no volume, then anyways, we can be aware of that tomorrow, for example, that these two levels are good levels to look for a support pickup and a move back up. So that is what I'm personally going to be looking at. And if these levels don't hold, then tomorrow in the premium section, I'll post the levels where I'll be looking at next. So let's keep this on our radar. And this, sometimes you see these after earnings moves. For example, I'm sure it was the case with Tesla, of course, and NVIDIA. tons of volume coming in. And here we are seeing some price action, but not really backed up by any volume. So that is at least sketchy. If you guys are up for it, let's maybe take a look at a third thing that apparently has their earnings now after hours. Let's see, Digital Realty Trust and Norfolk. Let's take a look at DLR maybe. Let's put a third thing here on the chart. DLR. Let's see what that is doing as well. So we can basically keep these candlesticks or keep these charts lower. And you see this this Arthur J. Gallagher thing was just trading. So we're looking at after hours chart here 5 minutes ago, and we're just gapping down without any volume traded here whatsoever. So once again, that is something which I would not put my money to if I see that, well, you have no guarantee that it's going to stop here or here. I then want to see that volume picks up at my level of support and that we get back above the level. So all of this price action, all of this build up and just after hours on almost no volume, you're just gapping down in a couple of candlesticks here on earnings. But that aside, all I really do is put alerts at these levels below me, and as long as price is not there, I'm not really interested anyways. And then same thing on lending to you. Once again, a couple of minutes ago, we're trading at 57 bucks, but there's no volume to build to back that up at all. So a couple of minutes later, now price is at 54.3. So I'll be looking at a move down into the level lower here. And if we drop below 51.94, you really don't like, things are not that difficult as well. Chances are then that we drop below 50 bucks. I'm going to be looking towards the bottom end of that gap there. And then let's go to the right. Digital Realty Trust. What do we have here? Like most charts, that looks like one big bull run with a big sell-off in 2022, and then now we're basically back around these the territory of the all-time high. That might be interesting, but we've already gotten above it. So let's put some levels on here where we might see a reaction. So for example, these weekly lows here, that's a good place to start, and this here as well. So let's go to the 15 minutes. Let's go to extended trading hours and let's see what we got. So far looks like most of these earnings moves are coming down. So you always want to be prepared. And you see that on all these things like Nike and Tesla, you can be shocked if price just teleports up or down on earnings. So you want to be aware of these levels below you where price is then likely to at least see a bounce back up. So 134.44 is going to be a level for me, and 127.85 as well. And I'm going to put this on my watch list too. So always very helpful to build a good watch list to, like I said, keep in touch with whatever has their earnings. Put your alerts, and then during regular trading hours, if you see that price comes to these levels that you've been preparing for, there's absolutely a trade to take, right? So after hours is not the time to trade, but definitely the time to prepare for a trade. So we'll just observe. Let's put the volume in here as well. Good. See some other people are joining in as well. Dumpster Cat and Mr. Penny Flipper, welcome. What's up? I'll see if we can push it with a fourth chart here. So really the value you get out of being here is really being able to catch the best levels lower down where you could look to do business. And if you want to know exactly how, then exactly the coaching program is, of course, where you would go, where I explain all of that in depth. I see some of you in here definitely have gone through that or are going through that. Good. Let's see. Let's see, what is the fourth ticker that we can put on here? Maybe NSC. So I'm just gonna put on a fourth ticker. I'm going to put all my alerts, and then we're gonna call it a day in like 10-15 minutes because it's not that much of an interesting earnings calendar for today, but nonetheless, we got to be aware of some of these stickers and their levels. So let's see, that is NSC. Norfolk Southern Company. This seems to have a huge move here of earnings. That could be potentially very interesting. So I'm gonna put some levels on here. Let's just take all these charts and put them kind of like smaller. We really just need to know when price would come to our levels, and it's not even very likely to happen anytime soon. So you just need to be aware of them. But this seems to be really busting a move. So let's put on that level here, 236.25. That is a high that we've made on July 17th. And it seems if I go, for example, to the 15-minute here, that we're seeing a huge move above that. I do also want to check what the volume is here. So if I see that the volume is incredibly shallow, then that is nothing to trust. Let's kind of verify that. And you can see a lot of volume here, but that is on the candlestick, not this one. So that was on 2 15-minute candlesticks ago. And even if I go to the 5-minute here, so this right here could be interesting for regular trading hours tomorrow, and then especially between 10 and 11 a.m. But a move up like that on virtually no volume is also something that I would not want to buy into just straight off the bat. That is really not a nice confirmation to see that something is just gapping above a level on no volume. That is the exact same thing as what Lending Tree did here to get people excited, and then the moment you end up doing anything, it basically just teleports down. So this right here, I'll be looking for a higher low, and I'll just put one level on there. I don't know if we will get there, but that would be interesting to me. Very simple. This stop that was broken, so 229.46. If we see something like this where you get a huge move up, people end up getting trapped, then you come down, make some kind of a higher low, then get back above that level. That's going to look very good. So this is anyways where I personally want to look. So the way I approach that is I put my level and I'll put an alert there, and I might put it on my watch list, and that's it. Good. See Mr. Slim Pickens also popping in. Welcome, sir. Hope you're doing well. We're just taking a look at some of these uncommon names that have their earnings at the moment. So 229.46 is what I'm going to keep on my radar for Norfolk. And then for DLR, it's going to be 134.44 and 127.85. Those are going to be my levels of support. And once again, my strategy is simply to look then, for example, tomorrow between 10 and 11, if we come into those levels and if we can get a reversal going from there, that is quite literally just it. So then next one, AGJ, I will have 267.51 and 265, just to start with, right? And Lending Tree 51.94 and 49.27. So that literally gives you two options on 4 tickers to place alerts at 8 levels. And once again, if you want to know more details how to play from these levels between 10 and 11 a.m. during any regular trading session, then you got to check out the coaching. That is all I can say about it. But if anything, these are levels that you can keep on your radar, and you can just see if price comes there, do you see a reaction, and just kind of keep updated with that. That being said, I can stick around for another 5 minutes and maybe answer some questions. But in terms of like, is there anything to trade at the moment? The answer is like categorically not the case. But like I said, it's a very good time to keep updated with your watch list, prepare your levels, and set yourself up for success during one of the trading sessions that are coming up. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. I think yeah, that's about it, to be honest. I just want to give everybody a good shot at taking a look at all these levels below us here so that you can prepare for that. Hmm. Yeah, Slim Pickens absolutely have time for that. So Slim Pickens here in the chat asks us to take a look at Lucid. You're in a call, and the first thing that I want to make like very abundantly clear, right, is that I'm not an options trader. I'm not afraid to trade leverage, but I do that on commodities, forex, and most of all crypto, but not equity. So I cannot help you out with your call, and the details for that are details that Swinging Bull and Lee and I think Stockbuster and Ethan, all of these guys are going to be able to explain that way better to you. So if everybody has taken note of all of these levels, I will just go to one chart, the Lucid chart, and we'll just end with an analysis on kind of a long-term outlook on this, and then we'll call it a day. Uh, awesome, no problem at all, Mr. Slim Pickens. First thing that you got to do, right, is kind of put this into perspective of, okay, what do we got here? Uh, it's not a bullish chart, but I will say one thing. It doesn't require a rocket scientist to see that, well, we had a steep drop, lower highs, and steep drop. And now the market is kind of, right, rounding out. Now I'm loosely drawing that, right, to say that it's not the same aggressive downtrend. So my perspective on Lucid is that if you're looking for short plays and options to the downside, that's really out of context here. So if anything, that's for now would be off the table for me. I also would attach a lot of value, right, to certain fib levels, which I'll give you a couple of fib levels that I am always looking at for Lucid. So I don't know if you remember, but in January of 2023, this thing basically got going, and what we saw there was an exit bump, as we would call. So a move to go up, but it's not a bullish move, right? It's a move that, well, it's bullish for a couple of weeks, but if you forget to take profit, right, you almost get no chances. It's just a very quick move, and people see something moving in their direction. And if, again, you don't take profit, you become greedy and you think that this runs all the way back to these highs immediately, then you basically get put underwater. And now we're making lower lows. So when I was seeing this swing to the upside, I was always looking at the 1272, the 1618, and the 2 levels here based on this here. But another fib set that I was looking at, like forever, was from the original low in October to the high made in February of 2021. And I can basically put this to the left and give this another color. So that gives you multiple levels of interest. So not to make it too complicated, let's just look at these levels one by one, right? So this bigger fib is going to be more important than the smaller one, because the wider the price range that you can take this from, the more accurate the levels are going to be to the downside. So you can kind of see how that 1272, and then we bounced up, we came down lower, and it looks to me for now that as long as we're holding above 2.96, that actually shorts are offside here. So anybody, right, who is short or has a short option or whatever on it, right? Just saying it as it is at the moment is offside. So shorts are trapped here. What you don't want to see, do not want to see, right, is that this thing gets back below $3, below 296 to be more precise, and that you're once again going to use that level as resistance. Because if that happens, and this is really long-term context that you got to be aware of, right, is that you think, well, we've now sold off what from the top there, something like 94%, and then all the way to the bottom 96%. So surely now this is a good buy, right? I'm saying shorts are offside, but if you break below 296 and that level flips into resistance, there's a significant chance that this actually teleports lower down another 50%, right? So the whole mindfuck of being down 95% from the top and then still dropping 50%, right? How is that possible? And can you also add the quote LPLA earnings coming also? we can have a short look at that as well. So I hope that that helps you out, Slim Pickens. I'm not here to make it too complicated. I think as long as you're holding above 296, there's a chance that this runs back up. But I personally am not allocated and would not allocate to this because it's also not clean. So if anything, if I would have to long this, right, then it would need to get back above 392. So actually, this is kind of how the most simple I can kind of break this down, right? So if I zoom into this chart here, this is where shorts are put offside. So if you're short anywhere from there, you're at the wrong side of the market. But here on the move above 392, long positions got put offside. And now you're literally in the middle there, trading between an area where shorts are offside and an area where longs are offside. So my simple analysis would be you get above 392 and that level holds, you get back to in the fives, and there's some potential for a good squeeze back to the upside. Or you're basically going to lose 292 and turn that level into resistance, and then you're talking about potential another 50% downside because these lows here and putting, so if you're long and you have a stop loss on one of these two lows, I'm telling you, you're part of the liquidity, right? That is where they will want to get back to. So thinking that, oh, this is a higher low, let's put my stop loss there. I'm going to hold it until this level breaks. I'm telling you, it's already going to be obvious to me way before that happens that actually you're going there when this level fails to hold. So Mr. Slim Pickens, that helps. Good, perfect. We'll do one last one. I think that LPLA is a ticker, right? Let's take a look at this. I'll leave this on for Lucid, by the way. And again, if I wanted to prepare myself as a bull, I would need to know when we get back above 392, and then I need to see that that level holds. And then you do that on a lower time frame, but we won't get into this here and now, right? So LPLA, we can do this as well. Looks like this has a significant move after hours to the downside. So like when I see something like this, it's as simple as kind of understanding where stop losses are set from long positions. That's going to be here, and that's going to be here. So there's a lot of downside risk on this thing. It looks like we briefly got above that previous all-time high and now got back below. And if after hours this, so I would say as long as this stays below 269, I would drastically consider that this could drop lower down. So I'll just put a couple of levels where I would really be interested. That would be below $200, sir, or madam, whoever is asking. 199.46, 177.83, and then 137.87. Those are the levels where you're going to see a reaction if price comes there. That's as simple as I can make it for you. Let's take a look here after hours on maybe a 5-minute chart. So we were trading there earlier today, and looks like after hours we're gapping down also on almost no volume. So whether you're gapping up or gapping down on no volume, that's sketchy. That is something that I'm not putting my money towards any of that. What I will put my money to, right? I'm just gonna draw that out here for you, is literally this. When I see that and then a higher low on top of this level, consider me in, right? And this whole thing, that might seem very simple, but I explain that in the utmost depth in my coaching. And that entry pattern is quite literally what I want to see either here, here, or here. And as a trader, doesn't matter to me from which level, right? I'm just looking from a move that has stopped going down and that is ready to go back up from a structural level of support. So again, thank you for reminding me that this has earnings as well. I'll put that on my watch list. I'll mark off these 3 levels with alerts as well on LPLA. And it's very simple, right? You could say, well, what do you do if price doesn't come there? Well, very simple. Then I don't get the trade, because for me to put my money to something, right, things need to be AAA. That's as simple as it is. It needs to be an A plus setup, A plus plus preferably. So what do I do if that is not going to happen, or if it doesn't meet my criteria? Well, there's nothing to do, right? But I'll also put a level on 269.19 maybe at some point in the future if we can get above that level. kind of hold a higher low there and then build a base, that would start to look good. There you go, Mr. Ruff01, and that's going to be it for me today. So 35-minute session, but we covered about what, 6, 7, 8 tickers. For the people who have been paying attention, you're walking away literally with the levels where you will see price react. Like I can tell that to you with a big amount of certainty. And maybe you're not convinced yet, in which case I would suggest you put these levels on your chart, you place an alert there, and you just basically see what price is going to do at these levels, right? And if you get interested, you come to my coaching and I'll explain you all about this particular entry pattern around these levels of our interest. So good. Hope that was a good, powerful session for all of you. Thank you for joining up, Mr. Farouk, but also thank you, Nagrom, Benny Flipper, Slim Pickens, Ralph Stussy, Nikki, and everybody on YouTube. I appreciate the feedback. That's my goal, that everything is clear. If this, then that, and if not, then we'll go and have a good time in real life, right? Do something different. Have the best night, everybody, and I hope to catch you all in the premium section and or in another earnings stream after hours sometime soon. Ciao, ciao.